Blake Cousins here, Third Phase of Moon, taking your calls from around the world. Third Phase of Moon, the top place to share your UFO stories. Just last week, lots of stuff coming into Third Phase of Moon. We just posted the video right here in the Flash chat. We posted it up on Third Phase of Moon YouTube. We called it the damn good UFOs. You know, everybody knows NASA's not telling us exactly what they know, and they're getting caught over and over again. I think probably a dozen times just this month alone. NASA putting up footage and then strategically cutting the feed over and over again. We're going to be talking about some of the videos we posted just yesterday right here on Third Phase of Moon, a wormhole over Stockton, California. Enhanced video. Safan, hopefully Safan's going to be joining us here on Third Phase of Moon Radio to discuss his close encounter along with his family of what I say is possibly a wormhole time jump caught on film. We're going to go over the video a little bit more closely due to the fact there's all kinds of anomalies that are seen in the video, such as possibly other dimensions opening up. They're like, could wormholes be like hurricane cells, or when a tornado comes down, these cells start to develop? And you can see in this video that I did not see until afterwards when the audience members of Third Phase of Moon started pointing out all kinds of weird things going on in this video. Hopefully we have Safan on tonight so we could get some questions into him about his encounter. We also have Dr. J. Andy Elias coming back to Third Phase of Moon as a guest tonight. He's working for Art Bell now, famous radio. Pretty much the biggest in history, Art Bell, Dr. J. They got some great connections. They got a great show. We're going to have Dr. J on so he could tell us what he's been up to and then give us some insight about some of the videos we just posted up on Third Phase of Moon, and as well as Johny Webb from the UK. He's back again. Hopefully he's got some insight as well. Let's get started. The number to call in to Third Phase of Moon and share your story is 347-934-0378. Let's get to the lines, and I want to see if Safan's here with us right now. Let's get to the callers and see who we got. Area code 209. Welcome to Third Phase. Tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
Dude, this is Safan.
Excellent. Safan, hey, thanks for joining us right here at Third Phase. We're live right now, and I wanted to thank you for joining us and, submitting your incredible video to us. I know when I went to YouTube, I think there's only about maybe 6 people that saw your video on your channel, and we're like, wow, this is something that...
I can share because I didn't know what it was. I thought it's crazy. Now I've seen all the comments on YouTube. I really seen a lot of stuff passing by on the end. Did you guys see that?
There's a lot of people that say there's a lot of multiple objects that are passing by in certain frames.
When it zoomed up, wow, man, I don't know what it is, but, some people say it's fake. How could it be fake? I came out my garage. I seen it. I took a picture of it, and then I actually shut on my camera. That's why there's 2 parts, so I turned it back on. And, yeah, that is, I don't know what it is. I can't even say it's a UFO, a portal. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Safan, I think you captured something incredible, and you could tell from the eyewitnesses on the ground, the reactions. Yeah. People were saying this is
drunk, and I went out to smoke a cigarette. Once I opened my garage and looked to the left, I seen it right there. First, it was just a little dot, bright blue dot, and then it started getting big and big, and it turned to bright red. That's why I was shocked. I was like, wow, I never seen such thing as that. I thought it was some kind of government conspiracy.
Absolutely. We call it HARP. And, there's these government programs that, are secret. We're not exactly sure what's going on. They might have some reasons why they're not telling us some of this stuff. But, let's bring in a Dr. J. Andy Elias. I know he saw your video, Safan, and I wanted to get his opinion of what he might think what it is. Dr. J's back on Third Phase of Moon. Welcome, Dr. J.
I think we're seeing here is a dimension, a space portal, a Stargate, in essence, being opened up for something to come through and leave again. And that's what I think is so fascinating, and I know we'll get into it later. You have an exact same phenomenon captured by NASA outside of this orbiting Earth.
Oh, wow. I mean, I didn't know.
This is Johny Webb in London. And Blake, hi there, and welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. It's lovely to be on your show again. But it's amazing because what you're showing tonight on this video, about 4 minutes in, there's a shot from the SpaceX, and there's a blue ring. And it's exactly what I filmed 5 years ago. It's on my Facebook or on my YouTube, Johny Webb. And it's exactly the same, this blue ring. I really can't work out what it is, but it's not. It doesn't seem to be a reflection or anything like that. But it's interesting, and you know the long streaming, what looks like smoke streaming in the night sky. I get a feeling that looks like a possible missile, but again, it seems to be quite level in its flight, not sort of going up and falling down. So I'm still out on that one.
You know, Johny Webb, hey, welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. It's good to hear your voice. I just pulled up the video that you just sent me, and I'm going to be putting it in the link right now, and we'll also be sharing this on Third Phase of Moon YouTube, so don't forget to check that out along with these incredible videos and photographs. But I just put it in there. Johny, let's get back to this wormhole, what people are claiming it is over Stockton, California. People are calling it a fake. And so Safan's right here. If you have any questions for Safan in regards to that anomaly, and then we'll jump into NASA in a little bit. Go ahead, Johny.
Well, yeah, the one in Stockton is amazing footage. It reminds me of one I saw about 5 years ago, a wormhole where it has like a little white ball come out the front of it, but I didn't notice anything like that. But as I say, to watch it to begin with, as the car's in motion and you can see it in the sky, it looked to me like a constellation of orbs to begin with, but then I realized it must have been something breaking up and then streaming to the right. So I'd say it was quite high in altitude rather than low, even though it looks quite low on the horizon. It's probably quite a way away. Back to you, Blake.
Absolutely, Johny. Safan, I wanted to ask you, now that, it's been seen thousands of times, have you been contacted by anybody in regard to this footage? Any comments? What's your family?
No, I haven't really showed it because I was kind of worried because I don't know if it's some kind of government stuff. And then I didn't know about Third Phase of Moon until I seen, whatever, and then that's why I sent my video to you.
Hey, Safan, I appreciate you sharing in disclosure, and the word's out, and that's for sure. And, Third Phase, that's what we want to do, too, is people like you that share their videos, what we want to do is give them the credit that they deserve. If people want to contact the person that shot it, we're going to share their links. We're going to mention who got the shot, if they want to come out. Some people, they want to remain anonymous, and I could understand that as well. But, Safan, you're a real hero for capturing this, having the balls, man, to come out and put it out there and contact it to share it to the world. Safan, you are disclosure. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 35 years old. I've never seen nothing like that in the sky. I mean, I've seen rainbows in the sky, but I don't know, man. I mean, people say it's fake. Why won't they go to Mr. Path on YouTube and check on my, original one? I got it on my page. On my channel. So if they want to check it out, Mr. Path.
If you're going to talk about NASA now, I would like to comment in NASA in general, what you mentioned. NASA is absolutely hiding this. Now, we can go back to decades. First of all, you pulled up something from Apollo 7 with just plain duct tape, right? Then in 2001, you have Dr.
Daylight, true cover-up.
Yeah. Then 2001, you have Dr. Greer's Disclosure Project. One of the witnesses that came forward was a NASA employee, and she said her whole entire job, was to Photoshop images of planets, the moon, and remove structures, anything that looked like a pyramid, a tower, a building, anything that looked man-made. She was to Photoshop it before it hit the public airwaves. Recently, another exclusive interview that we have that's going to be airing right after Edgar Mitchell on the same show is another employee from NASA who just for the first time broke her story ever. 1985, I believe, the Discovery space shuttle was re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, and 2 flying saucers, literally discs, were following it. And over 100 NASA employees, at least 100, she said, estimated, ran outside working inside at Cape Canaveral Kennedy Space Station, or whatever you want to call it, in Florida, to watch this. And yet nobody has come forward until now. This is 30 years ago, Blake.
It might take that long for some people just to, they sit on this. They sign these contracts. They're under these contracts that they're saying they can't, they're under the gun. They really can't, in a lot of sense. And in this category of basically top secret classification, they're scared. They're scared. Snowden, on the other hand, went ahead and did what he had to do. In his own conscience, he believed that whether he was going to be taken down or not, it was the good thing for man that they needed to know that this was what was going on, and all the governments around the world needed to know what was going on. And getting back to Snowden, I remember Senator Gravel, whom you brought to Third Phase of Moon to be interviewed, and then his incredible interview, and he went out to say that Snowden was a hero. Is there any insight still on, and I know Johnny Webb might know some things about this as well, about the tall whites? Did Snowden have something that they're still not telling us? Even though the journalists have this information, they're picking and choosing what they're putting out. Do you think they're onto something that, as far as ET exists, and they're still holding on to it?
Johnny Webb can absolutely comment on that, but first let me tell you, the Honorable Paul T. Hellyer, former Defense Minister of Canada, has been a regular on our show on Researcher on a Mission that you could see at drjradiolive.com, and the reason he turned into a believer was the day after Roswell, the book came out for Colonel Philip Corso, which documented him taking alien artifacts and bringing them to major companies and rebuilding them into Earth materials, right, such as the laser, Kevlar vest, night vision, fiber optics, integrated circuits. What he did is he was skeptical. So he went out and saw the names of the generals and colonels and everybody else in there that he knew because he was a defense minister. And he reached out to every single one of them that were still alive, and they said, yes, it happened, 100% true. Now, the reason why I'm saying this with the tall whites is on a very recent interview with the Honorable Paul Hellyer, he said he was talking about the tall whites, and apparently Charles Hall, an airman from the U.S. Air Force, was serving in Indian Springs, Nevada, also called Area 54, not Area 51, Area 54. And that's in Indian Springs, Nevada, east of Vegas, not where Area 51 is, a couple hundred miles away. There is a base, a joint U.S. ET base, where these tall whites live, and they fly in and land, and they interact. And as a matter of fact, he documented times where they were bored. They were really bored in the middle of the desert, and they wanted to go see something and experience human life. And literally, they would wear disguises and go to Vegas, but they couldn't go where populated areas were. So CIA would go, clear out the casinos in front of them, around them, and basically be their handlers, 100 yards in front of them, 100 yards in each direction on the sides and behind them, making sure that no human was near them to identify them and saying, wait a minute, why is their skin so white? Why are they wearing fake wigs, large hats, and sunglasses and weird over-fitting clothes, but yet their eyes are still bulging out? The point I'm trying to get at is I think that Snowden and Julian Assange are sitting on UFO material. And the reason why Snowden is probably not releasing it is it's his dead man's trigger. What I mean by that is if something happens to him, this is his leverage against the United States of America saying, I will release this if you screw with me. And I think that's probably why he's alive, because as you know, they can be gotten to no matter where they are in the world. We have CIA assets in every country on Earth.
The technology out there and the technology that the government's holding is so far advanced that their surveillance of everybody is so incredible that they could turn on our phones when the phones are off, or they could turn on our cameras on our computers when we think they're off. They're constantly watching us one way or the other. There's cars now that could be hacked to drive against a person's will. You could hack into cars nowadays. 60 Minutes just covered this event about it was last week when Laura Stahl got in a car and they hacked into the car and basically sped it up. When she wanted to press on the brakes, it would still keep going. Ironically, a week later, Bill.
I think what's interesting, Blake, is what's going on recently with this new spy TV from, Samsung. And they put a message out that, if you've got a Samsung TV, it's been recording your voice and putting that down as a text message and storing it on its system, possibly to be used for whatever. But we don't know. It'll probably be sold as data. But it just means that, just without thinking about it, in our normal everyday circumstances of having a TV in the house, it's actually been recording us. And that's quite, a daunting feeling, What do you think about that yourself?
Blake, actually, let me throw one thing into the mix. Our old friend Joe Kiernan actually bought, remember when everybody was required to buy digital converters for their TVs because analog was shut off? He went out and bought two, one to use and one to diagnose. He opened it up. What was in there? A camera and a microphone. Anybody can Google this, and you will find the video of him opening it up and finding a camera and microphone. And let's not forget that David Petraeus, a few years ago, stated emphatically, we now have the capability of turning on your microphone and your camera on your PC without the light coming on.
I remember 10 years ago listening to Art Bell when he was on, and he'd have people coming on and telling us that these things would be in our kettles and in our fridge freezers and things like that would aid us. We would come home and switch on our, I suppose today, iPad, and it would turn the TV on and the curtains open and run the bath. But these things are also listening to us. So, is it a good thing or not? I'm dubious of the whole thing myself, but I understand technology, and we have to adapt and change with times. So it's sort of catch-22, isn't it?
Absolutely. You just it comes with the territory, and you're right. A catch-22, it is, and hopefully the people that are in charge of this use it for the good. And when they can start controlling our vehicles. Well, maybe not my vehicle. I still have our 1990 Jeep Wrangler, so there's no computer system in there, and they're not able to press a button and hack into my car or Jeep. But look what happened to the 60 Minutes correspondent right there in New York, Bill Simon. Look at his car. Why is it so wrecked? People are bringing up the theory that maybe what we just saw in 60 Minutes last week when they started to show us technology and how they could hack into cars, people are saying maybe that was used against him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is what people are saying. There's conspiracy theories about Princess Diana and all this stuff. It's just a strange deal when 60 Minutes is talking about it. Next thing of course, all these news anchors are losing it right now, too. So it's a strange world right now. There's callers that are building up. I want to get to callers here, but I also wanted to discuss with Dr. J and Johny real quick about some of the other videos we just posted up in regards to this dragon footage, when the cargo dragon over there bringing supplies to the ISS and then bringing down science experiments down to Earth. We watch NASA like every day. Every time they post something on YouTube, we're going it through a fine-tooth comb. We're looking over anything. And just on the 10th of February, a few days ago, I was looking and I noticed a strange red light hovering over the surface of Earth. And I zoomed in on it, and it's something. Johny, I know you saw that video as well. Besides the blue aura ring, there was also that red light. People are saying that it's a laser from the ISS to control or to judge distance from Earth. Was that a laser beam of some sort?
Well, there's a possibility of that being that, but from the angle from the camera view, it looked like an orb that was just in the perpetual motion with the in this case the space shuttle. The the ISS space station. And so what we were seeing was what looked like an orb in between, as you say, the Dragon or the SpaceX program there. But to me, it reminded me of the '60s when you saw the what was it called, the lunar lander that was floating outside of the orbiter there, and there was that little sort of orb that flew past sort of underneath the moon, just above the moon there. Do you remember that sort of footage?
Absolutely. It looks almost like a mini Death Star trying to follow the Apollo mission. Is that the one?
Yeah. It's like quite amazing because it's obviously, intelligent. It's got its own sort of understanding. It moves, as I say, in almost like, as if it's sort of connected by a rod, but in this case, some say a laser beam. But I don't think it's a laser. I do understand the principle that they would use that as a sort of guidance system. But in this case, this looks solid. This looks reflective. So, I'm out on the laser part. But, what do you think of it, Blake?
Well, some people are saying, it's just a satellite, and satellites don't disappear and reappear. So I'm definitely ruling that out as well. It's unidentified. I'm just noticing what was really strange is right away once it comes into view, and I'm like, wow, what's that? It's very faint, but NASA's conveniently always cutting to the next angle and never coming back to that angle where the UFO was, or they'll just cut the feed altogether. So
Blake, I could tell you something about that, but I also got breaking news of today, exclusive today, if you want to hear that.
Obviously, breaking news. Let's go with it, John. What is it?
Okay. Our good friend Grant Cameron, known as the White House UFO researcher, knows everything about the White House and all those people. If you recall, John Podesta, a few years back, he made that very famous statement that the people can handle it with regards to UFOs. They deserve it. Let the truth be known. Then he was hired to be Barack Obama's chief of staff, and he turned down the position and stated 5 reasons why he wouldn't make the job. And in the New York Times, they ran the reasons. The 5th reason was because they wouldn't release the UFOs. Today, John Podesta says what he regrets in his political career is not getting the UFO files to the public. That came out today, February 13th, 2015.
John Podesta, he's a good buddy with he's buddies with Hillary and Bill Clinton. And
that's right, and Obama.
Exactly what they all wanted. So why didn't he do it? Why didn't he just regrets?
I think because I think it's not because it wasn't. He regrets that it didn't happen, and he regrets that he couldn't try harder. But I think it has to do with more of the fact that he had to toe the line. But if you remember that famous speech, he two times publicly he stated that we need to know we need to know what's going on, that we deserve it. And then the second time when he declined to work for Obama, stating that one of the reasons was he won't disclose. I think his regret is not so much what he didn't do, but regrets what the government didn't do.
Wow, breaking news right here. Everybody just heard that Mr. Podesta regrets not delving into UFO disclosure while he had the chance in the office over there. Dr. J, Johny Webb, stand by. There's a lot of callers calling in. You guys mind? Maybe somebody might have some questions for you as well, but I'm going to have to get to them. Is that all right, guys?
Absolutely.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, well, let's bring in the callers right now. We got a caller that's been hanging on for a while. Let's go to area code 801. You're live, Third Phase Moon. Tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name's Nathan from Utah. How are you doing?
Hey, Nathan, welcome to the show. Doing good. What's going on?
Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, I emailed you. This is my first time on the show or ever really kind of coming out in public. But, yeah, I emailed you. I just kind of want to tell you my experience. As a young little boy, maybe about the age of 2 and 3, I have a pretty good memory of kind of my experiences and everything. But, yeah, I believe aliens are real, and it's pretty interesting. I get a lot of criticism from a lot of people that just say, no, it's not true, it can't be. And, just how everything's gone throughout our time with the advances in technology and finding new planets and everything, I just don't understand why the government just can't come out and say, hey, you know what, this is how it is, and we've evolved and getting smarter by the day. It's part of life, and it should be.
Absolutely, Nathan. Let me ask you, and thanks for coming on. I know people have shared their experiences for the first time live right here on this show, Third Phase of Moon. Can you tell us your experience? What went down?
Yeah, so, at the age of 3, I was living in Torrance, California, and I had my grandmother over, and I remember going into my room and seeing 2 figures talking, and they basically kind of, I knew it wasn't something that I've ever seen before. And so it was pretty interesting. I knew it wasn't human or anything like that, and something extraterrestrial, but it was pretty a neat event for me. And later on down the road, we moved to a different area in Southern California in Orange County and built a big house. Well, I remember I was a big fan of E.T. and had an E.T. doll, and used to sleep with it all the time as a young kid and loved that toy. But I remember my mom getting this book called Communion, which is based on Fire in the Sky. As soon as I saw the picture, I told my mom to get the book out of the house because it frightened me, because I didn't really understand and know, but I just knew that figure kind of freaked me out. Later on down the road, I remember getting actually abducted from my house. It was kind of interesting because I thought this big acre of property that we used to have, my friends and I would ride motorcycles, and thought they were coming up in the middle of the night. And so I got up out of my bed. As soon as I did, my door handle opened up, and I remember a long, lengthy gray arm grabbing my hand. And I don't know if anybody's ever been so frightened in their life where they can't scream or anything comes out of their voice, but I remember being that way and kind of forcing myself to try to push whatever was holding me, and I couldn't move, like I was paralyzed. But it wasn't something that I ever felt bad about. And then the next thing I know, I was missing like a couple hours of my time and waking up back in my bed, sitting up with sweat and everything. So that was quite an experience for me. How I look back at it then, I was frightened, but how I look at it now, I wouldn't mind having that experience again. I think it was enlightening, and there's a reason for that, because talking about maybe 15 years later to my dad, he said that happened to him as well in the same house. So it's pretty interesting to find out.
So you're saying it happened in the same house?
Yeah, the same house at different occasions. I remember after when I got abducted, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I remember looking out my window and seeing like a 3 triangle light just kind of hovering past my window very slowly. And we used to get a bunch of helicopters from Camp Pendleton that would fly by in our range because we're back by the Cleveland National Forest, and you could always saw the helicopters. But I remember seeing this craft and just kind of slowly spinning past my window down by my friend's house, and kept going. But I never ever mentioned this to my dad until 15 years later, and he said, yeah, I remember actually going in the craft, and it was pretty interesting.
Wow, so
he said it was, go ahead.
Yeah, extraordinary. So what you're saying is that you told your dad about your experience 15 years later, and your dad explains to you that he had the same experience?
Yeah, he said that. Yeah, you're getting it correctly. He said the being that when he went up into the ship was of female origin, and it basically spoke with him telepathically, said everything was fine, and all they wanted to do is know who he was and what he was about. And he didn't feel any fear, which I didn't feel any fear. At first, when I woke up, I was frightened because I was young. I didn't know how to basically cope with kind of what happened, but I remember falling back asleep and having a dream about the alien or, the being saying everything's fine, no need to be scared. And I think there is a positive message behind abductions and encounters and stuff like that for a lot of people. And I think there's a lot of people that are fearful of it, and a lot of it, I believe, has to do with media. But interesting stuff. I mean, I've seen, and I continue to see it. And Utah is a big area with Dugway Proving Grounds. I'd actually really like to find a way how to be maybe hypnotized and try to, because I've seen stuff on shows that always interest me, and I always kind of like go after about the UFO phenomenon and everything because of my experiences. But I'd like to kind of maybe even go under hypnosis to find out more about, because there's a time block where I just don't remember a lot of it. So it'd be pretty interesting.
Absolutely. Dr. J has some connections to hypnotherapists, and we're going to get him back on the show, and maybe he could help you out. But I wanted to ask you a couple more questions. And the first one is that why'd you wait 15 years to tell your dad about your experience? And were you hesitant when you did ask him, when you tell him about your experience, because he wasn't going to believe you?
Well, not really. I mean, I don't know, actually, to be honest, why I kind of kept it from him. I just kind of, at a young age, my parents got divorced. I kind of had that role in myself, well, I need to kind of be self-sufficient and kind of take care of myself and see how I can deal with my problems. So I think that maybe had to do something with it, but I don't know. I guess there was a right time and place, but I mean, I think with abductions for a lot of people, it's family related. And from my experiences, I know my father now. My mother said she's had experiences too. She hasn't really told me about the house before they got abducted, or myself and my dad had. But she did say she's had a being come into her house, a really tall one. And I know I kind of listened on the show about tall whites or tall grays, and maybe that was, and she said that it lay next to her on the bed and just wanted to know about her as well. So I think there's a connection with everything that's involved in people's experiences, which is pretty neat. I'm kind of worried, but I think maybe down the road, I have a little 4-year-old boy. I think this might carry on to him, and maybe my wife that hasn't had an experience, but I tell her about it and she gets freaked out. And I said, there's really nothing to freak out about it. I don't think they're here to harm us because they're so advanced. This could happen any moment for anybody, but if they wanted to attack us and hurt us, they would have already done it by now.
Wow, I appreciate you sharing your story with us and your encounter. We've had some incredible people that have called in and shared their exact same abduction stories, and it's well to come out and share this. Let me ask you this: Can you any details on what the beings look like? Do you have any conscious memory of being on board the ship?
That's why I would like to go under hypnosis, because I remember seeing the gray arm grab me, and I remember it being a warm touch, nothing cold or weird feeling or anything like that. It felt very comforting, but yet I was afraid, so I tried to, push back, and it just kindly calmed me and put me at ease, and that's all I remember. I wish I could remember the face or something like that, but I mean, even after that and seeing the ship, I remember later down the road, I told my best friend about my encounter and that, and he's like, well, you're crazy. I'm all, just wait, one day, we'll be together and hang out and you'll see what I'm talking about. Well, about, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years later, we ended up going to Laguna Beach, California one night, and it was almost like the movie Fire in the Sky, where this big bright red-orange light came out over the sea or the ocean. And I remember seeing this fog roll, and while it was a clear night, all of a sudden this fog rolled in, and this big, bright orange red light came out in the sky, and then it cleared up, and then there was a craft, and you could see lights going in one direction in a circle, and then the opposite, and it was just hovering there, maybe, 5 or 6 miles out. And I would have to guess it was probably a few hundred feet above the water surface, and it was sitting there, and I'm like, Matt, can you see this? And he's like, yeah, I see this. And I could feel the presence that they were knowing that we were watching, even though it was that far away. And we watched it for a while, and I was going to actually go up on to one of the beach houses and knock on someone's door. And my friend's like, don't do that. They're going to think you're crazy. I'm all, people should see this. It's pretty neat. It's kind of a, you got to be in the right place at the right time. But I remember actually seeing a blue beam hit the water, and then that fog started rolling up again, and then it disappeared. Well, maybe 6 years later, I met another friend that I had never known before, and we got on the tangent about UFOs and stuff, and I told him, my friend and I saw this UFO in Laguna Beach, and so happens he was in the same area and saw the same thing, which I thought was just really crazy.
I think your story is not unusual by any means, and you're not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 million people.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Yeah, exactly. So it is. People out there are so easy to judge nowadays, just on just about everything, and everybody's got an opinion. And if they don't know what they're talking about, then the opinions sometimes get harsh. So I really want to, thanks for sharing your story. And
I appreciate it. And maybe if you might be, I've always been interested in trying to maybe even get involved in the community, but I don't know how to get that resource available to me, because this is something that always interests me. I always have dreams about aliens, not frequently, but I do, and I think it may be like a channel or something, because even Dr. Stephen Greer, which I kind of watch a little bit of, he says, the unconscious state is a part of communication that they can talk to you by. And I think there's a lot of good things that he says, and there's a lot of contradiction about alien abductions in the military. I know that's probably part of the case, but I do wish the government would come out. I know they're worried about public hysteria and all that, but I don't think, we're so past that. I think it would, a lot of people would accept it.
Absolutely. Do you think that it could have been a human being genetically engineered to look like an alien?
No, I think it was way beyond that.
That's another caller right here into Third Phase of Moon. Absolutely incredible testimony. It's humbling when people share their stories, just like you just heard it right here at Third Phase of Moon. I never know what to expect. It's amazing. Let's see if Dr. J could chime in here real quickly and maybe suggest a little bit of help and connections in regards to...
I can do a lot, Blake. First of all, I sit on the board of CERO International with Yvonne Smith. CERO International is Close Encounters Research Organization. She has support groups around the world for abductees to share their stories and get help, and hypnotherapists around the world. As a matter of fact, I met a woman from China recently that is a member of CERO. So by all means, whoever needs help, email me, drjradiolive@gmail, and I'll put you on. And anybody out there who wants to get involved, on top of sending videos to Third Phase of the Moon, be a MUFON field investigator. Go out there and go look at soil samples and impressions in the sands of things landed, and talk to people. Get it out. Get the word out. Disclosure is in your hands, everybody. It's up to you to make it. The world is not going to make it. One more thing I want to add, Blake. With regards to Greer, I can finally explain his abduction, why he doesn't believe it. I was always saying, why does he never believe it? Someone got to him. I'll tell you exactly why. He believes that everything is a positive contact. And if you ask any abductee, you just heard it right now from Dave from Maine. Well, Jim Sparks is the same thing. Jim Sparks was extremely traumatized, but now says he would never have given up that experience for his life. Everybody flowers is what he calls it, gains from their experiences. So by Dr. Greer saying there's no such thing as evil abductions, they're not taking you to screw with you, they're taking you and they're doing medical experiments against your will for a greater good, but ultimately every single one of those contacts ends up as a positive one. And that's the reason behind Dr. Greer saying there's no such thing as abductions.
Gotcha, Dr. J. It wasn't Dave from Maine that what we just heard.
It was Nathan.
But it is incredible when people do share their stories. His name was Nathan, yep, and I appreciate Nathan calling in. Dr. J, I know our show's wrapping up. We've got a few more minutes. I want you to tell everybody where they could get in touch with you. But let me get one last. Maybe I could get in a couple more callers here real quick. Let's go to area code 914. You're live, Third Phase of Moon. Welcome.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is Ryan from outside New York City.
Hey Ryan, welcome to the show, man. What's going on over there in New York?
Oh, not too much. I just wanted to chime in on a few things. One thing you were just saying as far as, this thing where, people, everybody swears they know what they're talking about and it's so easy to put people down. And there's a lot of that going on, not only with people outside the UFO community, but also within it. It seems like there's such division. This group believes in that, so, we can't deal with this person over here that believes in something else. And I think all it does is, divides, and, it's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it on the head. This world of ufology, as some people call it, I call it sharing information. And people send us videos, information, and we put it out there. And we're just kind of like the messenger. But then there's people out there that claim that they know pretty much about everything about aliens, and they're experts. And one way or the other, it's easy to criticize when they're the expert on something and nobody else is correct on their own thoughts. And it's pretty much human nature in everything in that sense. We try to put the non-biasness on it, have a place where people can share their stories, and not once have we ever had, for probably, 3 years we've been doing this show every Friday, that somebody comes in and is really, they're negative, or they're going to come out and attack. Everybody is very respectful in the show in their own sense. Yeah, sure, they'll question each other, but they're not immediately saying that whatever's the alien agenda is not real. There's no such thing as ET. This is, a total sham. This isn't.
It's more the people that post stuff and, that don't have to speak or, show their identity in any way. It's mostly the people like that post the negative stuff. And the thing is,
they need to write it behind their keyboard wherever they are and put out a statement. But hey, the phone number's right there, people. And nobody even wants to any of these statements. I'm here, Blake Cousins, live right now, and nobody wants to. They say all kinds of crazy things about me on everywhere. But do they ever come on the show?
But I could tell that it doesn't affect you. You're way above that. You don't sink down into the negativity. You just let it bounce right off you and keep on going. That's what I respect about you guys. No matter what people say, you're saying, this is what we do, and we're going to continue to do it. Whether, a small minority of you don't like it, that's too bad. The vast majority does. So.
Freedom of speech here, and I also agree with that. That's why we rarely remove any comments on our channel. Pretty much 99.9% stays there unless it gets too much, and it has nothing to do with the UFO subject. But I do believe in freedom of speech. I think it's really an important thing here, and that's what it's very important. And hey, I read all the hate out there. I read it. I watch it, and I see it. But like you say, what I'm more happy about what I'm seeing the next day or what's going to be submitted. I can't dwell on the past. How many videos have we put up of UFOs? We'll probably have the largest archive in the past decade of people submitting their UFOs. That's what excites us right here. I know my brother gets excited. I remember when we were kids, we used to watch these TV shows, UFO Sightings, or with Leonard Nimoy, and another one produced by Henry Winkler, and we're like, wow, these UFO videos are amazing. How do these people even archive this stuff? How do they even It's just incredible. Now we're in it, and it's an amazing place, and it's incredible. And I think disclosure has already happened to a certain extent on Third Phase Moon. Things people have been waking up to unexplained videos. They just can't explain them away. So it makes people think, and there is something in Third Phase of Moon archives that's already disclosure. It's just people haven't woken up. The main media is not picking up on it. It's there. Yeah. It's in the archive.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in from New York. I got a few minutes here. I want to get to some other callers, but appreciate it, man.
No doubt.
Let's get to another caller calling into Third Phase Moon. We've got a few minutes left. Let's get to it. Area code 405. You're live, Third Phase Moon. Thanks for calling in. Tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
Hi. Like, I just want to say I'm not a long-time listener, but I picked you up a few months ago, and since I've been seeing some of your videos, I subscribed, and I'm from the Oklahoma City area, and I don't want to give out too much information right now because what I was going to tell you is kind of from a reliable source of mine who used to be in the military.
Okay.
He actually witnessed a UFO encounter in Colorado during his service, and I'm not sure when. And he said he was just minding his own business, peeling potatoes, and he was listening to a battery-powered radio, and it was going in and out, like kind of the dead battery effect. You know, it kind of works for a little bit, then it goes dead and comes back on. That's how he was describing it to me. And a couple of his buddies was coming back to his location in Colorado, I believe, and they were having battery problems. And at this time, shortly after that, he claimed that he saw a very bright light coming outside of his tent, and he saw this very bright spot, and it would just look like it was landing, and it just disappeared.
Wow. So, let me ask you this.
You're saying, sir?
What makes you think that this is... So your source worked for the military?
Yeah, back in when he was much, much younger, so I'm not for sure what time this was because I didn't ask that question. But at first I didn't believe him because he was telling me the story about back in November of 2004 at a party. Then when I asked him about a month ago, about a couple of weeks ago, it was exactly the same way I remembered it from 5 years ago.
Absolutely incredible. More stories coming into Third Phase of Moon. I'm sorry, we're just about to wrap up this show, so you could call in next week, Friday. Again, Third Phase of Moon will be live every Friday night. Don't forget, right now it's 11 p.m. if you're in New York, or 8 p.m. if you're in L.A. Every Friday, Third Phase of Moon will be on air, taking your calls, and we're always standing by for your videos as well. So go to Third Phase of Moon YouTube, go to the About page. All the information in the description to contact Third Phase of Moon is there. Post your video up on YouTube. Send me the link. We'll correspond back. And that's the way it works over here at Third Phase of Moon. Let's get Dr. J. Andy Elias. We got a few more minutes. Dr. J, appreciate you joining us right here at Third Phase of Moon, as well as Johny Webb. They got their show on Dark Matter Radio. Dr. J's producer for Art Bell right now. Congratulations, John.
And Johny Webb co-hosts with me Thursday nights. Tuesday night is my solo show. Everything can be seen on our website, Dr. J Radio Live, drjradiolive.com. And every social media account, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is under DRJ Radio Live, Dr. J Radio Live. And all 200-plus shows will be uploaded, and, of course, you can see a lot of them on Third Phase of the Moon directly.
And I've also got to say, Blake, you know, my time with Dr. J and with the new things we're doing now wouldn't have come about if I hadn't have bumped into you. So I'm very grateful for you initially bringing me my story to the scene. So again, thank you, and thank Third Phase of the Moon.
That's right. Thank you, Blake, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have a proactive stance on this, and I would have just sat back and listened to people.
Wow, Dr. J. Johny Webb, very humbling again. I appreciate those words, and good luck. Go strong, build that support, get the word out. We look forward to hearing your guest, Dr. J, on your show, and maybe sharing some of them right here at Third Phase of Moon. I know we got a Jaime Maussan interview that we're going to partially share here at Third Phase of Moon over the weekend. Dr. J. Johny Webb, appreciate it. Keep your eyes on the skies, guys.
Thank you, and there will be more videos to come for you, Blake, of absolutely more interviews. Thanks again.
Yeah, good luck, Blake.
Thank you, Johny Webb. We're winding up the show, Third Phase of Moon Radio. You heard it right here. People from around the world calling in, sharing their stories for the first time. Come on, people, this is real. This is not an illusion. We are living in reality. We are not alone. Everybody, keep your eyes on the skies. Blake Cousins, we'll see you again next time.